Hi everybody, in this installation video I will show you how to install RADE Garage fairing on KTM E90 model year 23 and 24. I will show you what parts you will get in fairing kit for KTM E90 model year 23-24. It's carbon tower, windshield, headlights cover with stickers and sealing, headlights, 20mm navigation bar, accessories holder, TFT dashboard holder, top windshield holders with turn signals holders, bottom windshield holders, support brackets for the carbon tower, bottom fairing, side panels, and bag with bolts and other parts. In bag with bolts and other parts you will find this type of bolts: 5 M8 by 12, 3 M6 by 20, 4 M6 by 16, 5 M6 by 8, 35 M5 by 16, 8 M4 by 16, 4 self-locking nuts, 20 M5 plastic washers, 8 M4 plastic washers, 20 M5 rubber nuts, 8 M4 plastic rubber nuts, USB cover, 2 spacers for the support bracket for carbon tower, 2 foam stickers, 1 edge cover for the support bracket for carbon tower, Garmin adapter, and cable zip ties. Don't worry if you lose one bolt or two or any washer. In the bag there is always few extra. For installation of the RADE Garage fairing for KTM E90 model year 23-24, we recommend you these tools: Allen key 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, wrench number 10 and 14, cutting pliers, socket wrench number 8, joint adapter for socket wrench, long extension for socket wrench, small flat screwdriver, Torx 20 and 30. In this chapter I will show you how to take down the fairing of the bike so we can remove the original tower with headlights. First, take down the seat. We take down the rear fairing. There are 2 pins. And now we will pull forward. Before we can take down this side fairing, we must take down this battery cover. There are 2 bolts, one here, the second on the other side, and you will need Torx 30. When you remove the 2 bolts, you just pull the battery cover up. To take down the side fairing, we need to remove 4 bolts. There are 2 in the front, 1 in the middle, and 1 in the rear. You will need Torx 30. When you take down all the bolts, there are 2 pins holding the fairing. We need to release them. And now we will pull the fairing forward. We remove the windshield. The windshield is holding on 6 bolts, 4 in the front and 1 bolt on each side. You will need Torx 30. We take down this plastic cover with the turn signal. It holding on 3 bolts. One is hidden here, one here, and one bolt is here. You will need Torx 30. When you remove all the bolts, take down the plastic and disconnect the turn signal. We unplug the regulator for power supply and we will remove these two bolts. You will need Torx 30. To remove this plastic part, you need to take out these bolts. One here, two are hidden here, one is here, and two are here. To remove them, you need Torx 30. When you remove all the bolts, we can now take down the plastic part. First, we start with this pin. You lift it up with the flat screwdriver and you will move it aside like this. After you move aside the plastic pin, we can now take down the plastic part. We have fully removed the left side. The right side is the same. There is only a small difference with the coolant reservoir, which I will show you how to remove it. On right side, to remove this plastic cover with the turn signal, you need to take down this cap for the coolant and remove the plastic after that. To remove the coolant reservoir, you need to take down this bolt. You will need Torx 30. When you remove the bolt which holding the coolant reservoir, you just pull it from this pin. I recommend you to zip tie the coolant reservoir this way so you can freely remove this plastic part. In this chapter, I will show you how to remove the original tower and the headlights. We start with the TFT dashboard. There are two bolts on the top, one on each side and one on the bottom. You will need Torx 30. When you take out all three bolts, there is a tube metal insert which you must push to the left side. You can use Torx 30. Pull the TFT dashboard backwards like this, unplug it. Now we have full access to these four bolts which we must remove so we can take down the TFT dashboard. You will need Torx 20. Remove these two bolts and pull back. We must remove the slide frame. There are four bolts on the top, two bolts on the bottom, and you will need Torx 30. After removing all six bolts, we just pull the frame down. On left side, remove these two bolts. You will need Torx 30. After removing these two bolts, we need to remove these two bolts which holds the headlight. Don't remove the right side yet. I will show you how to do it. On these two bolts you need Torx 30. On right side we need to remove these two bolts which holds the headlight. You will need Torx 30, but before you remove these two bolts, hold the headlight with your hand so it won't fall out. When you remove all four bolts which holds the headlight, you can split the tower and take out the headlight and you will unplug it. Now unplug the USB port which is on the TFT dashboard holder. You can remove it. Then you push all the cables on the left side and on the right side into the tower. And also the TFT dashboard cable you pull inside. we unplug this 12 voltage socket. Now we take down the immobilizer from this hook holder and we will pull it into the tower. We must push inside these two hooks. You will squeeze them together and push inside. Under the tower there is a cable zip tied, which we must cut to release the cables inside the tower. The last thing what we must do before we take down the tower is to remove these two bolts on the left side. The same bolts are on the right side. You will need Torx 30 and be careful when you take out these two bolts, the tower will split up. Now the bike is fully prepared for installation of RADE Garage fairing kit. To assemble the carbon tower before we mount it on the bike, we will need top windshield holder with the turn signals holder, bottom windshield holders, accessory holder, TFT dashboard holder, 12 mm navigation bar, USB socket cover, and this type of bolts M8 by 12, M6 by 16, M6 by 8, M8 by 16. We start with the bottom windshield holder. Every holder has a mark on it, so you know on which side it will go. The holder should be facing forward like this. You will need M6 by 8 bolts and Allen key SAS 4. The holder for accessory goes on the left side of the carbon tower like this. To mount it, you will need M6 by 16 bolts and Allen key size 4. As you can see, there are two holes for the original USB port. It's on you where you place it. I will place it under the dashboard like this, and then you will use the USB B cover for the next hole. We will mount the TFT dashboard holder this way. You will need M5 by 16 bolts and Allen key size 3. We will prepare the top holder for the windshield with the turn signals holder. Take the original turn signal, take out the nut and this locking washer. Put the turn signal like this. There is a second washer, so it should be near to the turn signal. Then you will take the locking washer and the nut. Before we mount the navigation bar, take the top windshield holder with the turn signal. You put the cable from turn signal in this hole between the silent blocks. You prepare it this way. Then you will take the navigation bar like this. To mount it, you will need M8 bolts and Allen key size 5. This way the carbon should look like when you assemble it correctly. On the support frames for the carbon tower, you take these two spacers. They will go on this hole from this side. Then you will take the edge cover. You will put it on right side in this trimmed shape. And you will put it like that. To assemble the windshield, we will need the headlight cover with the stickers and sealing foam, M4 by 16 bolts, and M4 plastic washers. To prepare the windshield, we will start with this black sticker which goes inside here. After you install the black sticker inside the windshield, take M5 rubber nuts and put them in these 4 holes. After you put the rubber nuts in these holes, take this foam sealing and apply it above the rubber nuts. Now take small flat screwdriver and make holes where the rubber nuts are. Before we install the light covers, we prepare the sticker and we will apply it on the light cover like this. When you have the sticker on the light cover, you take small flat screwdriver and with the screwdriver you will make a holes for the bolts. To install the headlight cover, you will need M4 by 16 bolts and M4 plastic washers, also Allen key 2.5. For preparing the side fairing, we need M6 by 20 bolts, M6 nuts, M5 rubber nuts. First, we will start with the left side fairing panel. We need to place their regulator for the power supply of the bike. You will need 2 M6 by 20 bolts and self-locking nuts. Also Allen key size 5 and wrench number 10. After we have mounted the regulator for power supply, we will insert this M5 rubber nuts in these 2 holes on each panel. We will put M5 rubber nuts in these 4 holes on each side fairing panel. In this chapter, I will show you how to install RADE garage tower on the bike. First thing, what we must do is to move aside the original tank just a little bit. To do that, you remove these 2 bolts on the left side, the same bolts are on the right side, and you will need Allen key size 6. Don't remove just the bolt, you need to remove the rubber spacer and the metal spacer too. When you take out the 4 bolts, you can move aside the tank. You don't need to take it fully out, just only a little bit back, like this. We remove the original bracket. There are 2 bolts. As you can see, the one is hidden here. That's why we move aside the original tank, so we can reach it. You will need socket wrench, size 8, joint adapter, and long extension. I recommend you to first remove this front bolt, then loose the second bolt here, and you can easily move aside this bracket and you will easily reach this bolt. Now we will put the carbon tower on the bike. Take the wires, put them in the tower, and used the original bolt which was holding the original tower to secure it. You need just 1 bolt. When you have the carbon tower on the bike, take the support for the carbon tower from us. Prepare it this way. For installation, the original bracket, I recommend you that you put the original bolts with the thread locker into the bracket. First, you will tighten this bolt and then the second bolt. You will need socket wrench size 8, joint adapter and long extension for the socket wrench. Don't fully tighten these two bolts because we need to align support holder, carbon tower and holder on the frame. When we align it, we will use original bolts with the thread locker and Torx 30. When you have installed these two bolts, fully tighten them and also fully tighten these two bolts. When you do that, the installation of the left side is complete and you can do the right side. On the right side, be careful how you place the brake hose and ABS cable. The brake hose and ABS cable should go above the support holder for the tower, and the start button and emergency light should go like this into the tower. Before we connect the headlights, we need to connect turn signals. There are two connectors. One with the red marking is for the left side, the green one is for the right side. There is a port for the USB. There is TFT dashboard connector for the lights, and there is two connectors for accessories. We can start with the USB, then with the turn signals. We prepare the cable for the TFT dashboard, and then with the lights you get this special black box. It's called glue dongle, which eliminates the error message on the TFT dashboards with our lights. When we have all connectors plugged together, we can install the headlights. The long headlight is low beam, the shorter one is high beam. The low beam goes to the bottom and the high beam goes up. You will need M5x16 from us and Allen key size 3. With the lights, you get documentation where you can see how to adjust the lights and also certificate saying that the lights are fully street legal. We will connect the TFT dashboard. To mount it, you will use the original bolts and Torx 20. Now the installation of the carbon tower is complete, and I recommend you to test the lights and turn signals if everything is alright. In this chapter, I will show you how to install the front fairing for the carbon tower. We take the inner left side fairing with the regulator for power supply. There are two holes in the fairing, which we align with these two holes in the bracket. You will use M5 bolts and Allen key size 3. When the fairing is mounted, then we can connect the regulator. Before we can install the inner right side fairing, we need to put this rubber nut inside the coolant reservoir. After we have put the rubber nut inside the hole in coolant reservoir, we can install the inner right side fairing. The installation is same as on the left side, but there is one hole extra for the coolant reservoir. You will need M5 bolts and Allen key size 3. What I recommend is that you will mount first the reservoir for the coolant. When we have both sides on the bike, take this black glossy spoiler, place it like this, then use only 2 bolts right now. Don't fully tighten them because these 2 bolts will be later removed and we will add extra front fairing. Before we install the rest of the fairing, we push back the tank. We use the original bolts with the original spacers. There are 4 bolts and you will need Allen key size 6. Before we install the outside fairing, we put these 2 rubber nuts into the windshield holders. With the fairing kit, you get this foam sticker which you can apply on the outside fairing here. The foam sticker will help you protect the paint job on the original tank, and it's onto you if you use it or not. Remove this one bolt holding the front spoiler. Now we put the outside fairing like that. There is 1 bolt and 2 bolts are here. We will use the bolt which was here and we will add 2 extra M5 bolts, and you will need Allen key size 3. Now we have the fairing on and we will do the same on the right side. When we have both sides of the fairing on the bike, we can put the windshield on. You will need M5 bolts with the white plastic washers and Allen key size 3. The installation of RADE Garage fairing for 890-23-24 is now complete. In this chapter, I will show you how to put back the original fairing after you install the RADE Garage fairing kit. To install the original fairing, we need to put this U-shaped hole onto this bolt and this pin to this hole with the rubber grommet. To connect RADE Garage fairing and the original fairing, you will use M5 bolts with the white plastic washers and Allen key size 3. To mount the original fairing here and here, we will use the original bolts from KTM. To mount the rear fairing, there are 2 pins which goes here, and this U-shaped hole will hook here. Before we mount the seat, you need to install this battery cover. There are 2 U-shaped holes which goes on these 2 bolts. Then you will use the original bolts with these special spacers for the seat, one here and one here. And you will need Torx 30. And last part is the seat. The installation of RADE Garage fairing is now complete, and I hope you will enjoy it on road and off-road.